What if I told you that Ted Turner owns a ranch so legendary it inspired TV shows, so valuable it's worth more than most skyscrapers, and so steeped in cowboy history that it still operates exactly like it did 150 years ago? The Four Sixes Ranch isn't just Turner's most expensive property. It's the last piece of the real American West, and what's hidden on these 350,000 acres will absolutely blow your mind. The $347 million gamble that nobody saw coming? In May 2021, the ranching world was stunned when Ted Turner outbid everyone to pay $347 million for the legendary Four Sixes Ranch, the highest price ever paid for a ranch in American history. But this wasn't just about money. Turner was rescuing a piece of American mythology that had been in the same family for 152 years and was facing an uncertain future after the death of its longtime owner. The Four Sixes, as it's known to every cowboy in Texas, had been owned by the Burnett family since 1870. When Ann Burnett Marion died in 2020, the ranch's future hung in the balance. Real estate developers circled like vultures, seeing 350,000 acres of prime Texas land ripe for subdivision. Oil companies eyed the mineral rights. The family faced estate taxes that could have forced them to break up one of the last great cattle empires in America. Turner's purchase wasn't just buying a ranch, it was preventing the destruction of something irreplaceable. Local ranchers who had initially been skeptical of the billionaire outsider began to realize that Turner might be the only person with both the resources and the vision to keep the Four Sixes intact. The sale included not just the land, but 7,000 head of cattle, 300 quarter horses, and a way of life that had survived the Civil War, 2 world wars, the Great Depression, and the oil boom. Turner didn't just buy assets. He bought responsibility for preserving a piece of American heritage that can never be replaced once it's gone. The poker game legend that started an empire. The story everyone knows about the Four Sixes Ranch, that Captain Samuel Burke Burnett won it in a poker game with 4 sixes, is actually just the beginning of a tale so incredible it reads like fiction. The truth is even more remarkable than the legend. Burnett didn't win the entire ranch in that famous poker game in 1870. He won 100 head of cattle with a brand that showed 4 sixes. But that small herd became the foundation for what would grow into one of the largest ranching empires in American history. What made Burnett truly legendary wasn't luck at cards. It was his ability to survive and thrive in one of the most dangerous periods in Texas history. This was the era of Comanche raids, cattle rustlers, and range wars that killed men over water rights and grazing land. Burnett built his empire during a time when fortunes were made and lost based on your ability to protect what was yours with a Winchester rifle. The ranch's brand, 4 Sixes, became so famous that it was recognized across the American West as a symbol of quality cattle and honest dealing. By 1900, Burnett was running over 40,000 head of cattle on more than 300,000 acres, making him one of the wealthiest men in Texas. But the real test of Burnett's character came through his unlikely friendship with Comanche chief Quanah Parker, a relationship that would define both their legacies and prove that even in the violent frontier era, mutual respect could overcome racial hatred and cultural differences. The friendship that shocked America. In 1884, something happened on the Four Sixes Ranch that made headlines across the country and challenged everything Americans thought they knew about cowboys and Indians. Comanche Chief Quanah Parker, the most feared war leader on the Southern Plains, became a regular guest at Burnett's ranch, camping on the property with his warriors during their travels between reservations. This wasn't just unusual, it was revolutionary. Parker had spent years fighting the U.S. Army and Texas Rangers, leading raids that terrorized frontier settlements. Burnett had lost friends and neighbors to Comanche attacks. Yet somehow, These two men formed a friendship that transcended the racial hatred and violence of their era. Parker would bring his band to camp on Burnett's land, and in return, the Comanches helped protect the ranch from cattle rustlers and horse thieves. The arrangement was so effective that Burnett's losses to theft dropped to almost zero, while neighboring ranches continued to suffer raids. Eastern newspapers sent reporters to write about the unlikely alliance, and the story became a sensation that challenged stereotypes about both cowboys and Indians. The friendship was so strong that when Parker died in 1911, Burnett served as one of his pallbearers, and Parker's family was given a permanent burial plot on the ranch. Today, visitors can still see the camping grounds where Parker's band stayed, and the ranch maintains artifacts from this remarkable chapter in American history that proved enemies could become friends when they treated each other with respect. The horse breeding program that defines perfection. What sets the 4 Sixes Ranch apart from every other operation in America isn't just its size or history. It's a quarter horse breeding program that has produced more champions than any other ranch in the world. For over 150 years, the 4 Sixes has bred horses with an obsessive attention to bloodlines, conformation, and performance that borders on scientific fanaticism. The ranch currently maintains 300 brood mares and 30 stallions, representing bloodlines that trace back to the foundation sires of the American quarter horse breed. But these aren't just pretty horses standing in pastures. They're working athletes bred specifically for the brutal demands of ranch work. Every horse on the 4 Sixes must prove itself by working cattle in rough country, demonstrating the intelligence, stamina, and cow sense that separates great ranch horses from ordinary riding horses. The ranch's breeding program operates with the precision of a genetics laboratory, using DNA analysis and performance data to make breeding decisions that will produce horses with specific traits needed for different types of ranch work. The results speak for themselves. 4 Sixes horses have won more cutting horse championships than any other breeding program in history, with earnings exceeding $20 million in competition. But the real measure of success isn't prize money. It's the fact that 4 Sixes horses are still doing the same work their ancestors did 150 years ago, proving that some bloodlines are so perfectly adapted to their purpose that they never become obsolete. Turner's investment in upgrading the breeding facilities has included building a $5 million equine hospital and breeding complex that rivals facilities at major racetracks, ensuring that this genetic treasure will be preserved for future generations. The cattle operation that feeds a nation. At its heart, the 4 Sixes Ranch remains what it's always been, one of the most successful cattle operations in North America, running 7,000 head of cattle across landscapes so vast they require helicopters and airplanes to manage effectively. But this isn't your typical cattle ranch. The 4 Sixes has spent 150 years perfecting a system of cattle production that combines traditional cowboy methods with cutting-edge agricultural science. The ranch's cattle aren't just any cattle. They're the result of generations of selective breeding for traits that allow them to thrive in the harsh Texas climate. These animals can gain weight on native grass that would starve cattle from other regions, survive summer temperatures that regularly exceed 100 degrees, and resist diseases that devastate herds in more humid climates. The ranch maintains detailed genetic records on every animal, using artificial insemination and embryo transfer to continuously improve the herd's quality while preserving the hardiness that makes them perfectly adapted to their environment. The cattle operation generates over $15 million annually through sales of breeding stock, feeder cattle, and finished beef. But the real value lies in the genetic database that represents 150 years of selective breeding. Turner's investment in the cattle program has focused on sustainability and efficiency, with new facilities designed to reduce labor costs while improving animal welfare. The ranch's rotational grazing systems ensure that the native grasslands remain healthy and productive, proving that intensive cattle production can actually improve rather than degrade the environment when it's done properly. The wildlife paradise that nobody expected. While the Four Sixes Ranch is famous for its cattle and horses, what surprises most visitors is discovering that it's also one of the most important wildlife habitats in Texas. The ranch's 350,000 acres support an incredible diversity of wildlife that includes white-tailed deer, mule deer, elk, pronghorn antelope, wild turkeys, quail, dove, and over 200 species of birds. This wildlife abundance isn't accidental. It's the result of management practices that recognize the compatibility between livestock production and wildlife conservation. The ranch's rotational grazing systems create diverse habitat conditions that benefit different species throughout the year. Areas that are rested from grazing become nesting habitat for ground-nesting birds, while recently grazed areas provide the short grass preferred by species like burrowing owls and prairie dogs. The ranch maintains over 100 stock ponds that provide water for both livestock and wildlife, creating oases in the semi-arid landscape that attract animals from miles around. Turner has invested heavily in habitat improvements specifically designed to benefit wildlife, including brush management projects that create the mosaic of grassland and shrubland that many species require. The ranch's hunting program generates over $2 million annually while providing economic incentives for wildlife conservation, with hunters paying premium prices for the opportunity to pursue trophy animals in one of Texas's most pristine environments. The success of the wildlife program proves that ranching and conservation aren't competing interests. They're complementary activities that can enhance each other when managed with knowledge and commitment. The technology revolution in cowboy country. Despite its commitment to traditional cowboy methods, the Four Sixes Ranch employs some of the most advanced agricultural technology in the world. The apparent contradiction, cowboys using smartphones and GPS systems, actually represents the evolution of ranching rather than its abandonment. The core skills remain the same, but modern tools make cowboys more effective at their traditional jobs. The ranch uses satellite imagery to monitor pasture conditions across its vast acreage, allowing managers to make grazing decisions based on real-time data about grass growth and soil moisture. GPS systems track cattle movements and help cowboys locate animals in the ranch's most remote areas, reducing the time spent searching and increasing the time available for actual cattle work. The ranch's cowboys carry tablets that provide instant access to information about individual animals, including health records, breeding data, and performance statistics. This technology doesn't replace cowboy skills, it enhances them, allowing experienced horsemen to make better decisions based on more complete information. The ranch's headquarters includes a veterinary clinic equipped with digital X-ray machines, ultrasound equipment, and surgical facilities that can handle everything from routine procedures to complex emergency surgeries. Advanced feed analysis systems ensure that cattle and horses receive precisely balanced nutrition, while automated systems reduce labor costs and improve consistency. Turner has also invested in renewable energy systems, including solar panels and wind turbines that reduce the ranch's operating costs, while demonstrating that traditional industries can embrace sustainable technologies. The cowboy culture that refuses to die. What makes the Four Sixes Ranch truly irreplaceable isn't its size, its technology, or even its livestock. It's the preservation of an authentic cowboy culture that has largely disappeared from the American West. The ranch employs over 50 full-time cowboys who live and work on the property, maintaining skills and traditions that have been passed down through 5 generations of ranch hands. These aren't weekend cowboys or rodeo performers. They're professional horsemen who can rope, ride, and work cattle with a skill level that would have impressed their predecessors from the 1800s. The ranch's cowboys still live in bunkhouses, eat meals prepared in the ranch cookhouse, and work from horseback using techniques that haven't changed in 150 years. They maintain their own equipment, care for their horses, and take pride in skills that most of the modern world has forgotten. Many of the ranch's cowboys are second or third generation employees whose families have worked for the 4-6s for decades, creating a continuity of knowledge and tradition that can't be replicated anywhere else. The ranch's commitment to cowboy culture isn't nostalgia, it's recognition that some methods of working cattle are so perfectly adapted to the environment and the animals that they can't be improved by modern alternatives. Turner has preserved these traditions not as museum pieces, but as living, working elements of a successful modern ranch operation that proves the cowboy way of life is still relevant in the 21st century. The economic powerhouse that supports rural Texas. The 4-6s Ranch isn't just a cattle operation. It's an economic engine that generates over $50 million annually and supports hundreds of jobs across rural Texas. The ranch's direct payroll exceeds $15 million, making it one of the largest employers in the region, but the economic impact extends far beyond the ranch gates. The ranch's operations support a network of suppliers, contractors, and service providers that depend on the 4-6s for their livelihoods. Feed suppliers, veterinarians, equipment dealers, trucking companies, and dozens of other businesses generate millions of dollars in revenue from their relationships with the ranch. The horse breeding program alone contributes over $10 million annually to the local economy through sales, breeding fees, training services, and related activities. The ranch's annual horse sale attracts buyers from around the world, bringing outside money into rural communities that have few other sources of economic development. The hunting and agritourism programs generate additional revenue while showcasing the ranch's conservation efforts and cultural heritage to visitors from across the country. Turner's investment in the ranch has created a multiplier effect that benefits the entire region, demonstrating that large-scale agricultural operations can be engines of rural economic development when they're managed with vision and commitment. The ranch also pays over $3 million annually in property taxes, providing crucial funding for local schools, roads, and other public services in counties where tax bases are often limited. The Hollywood fame that brought the world to Texas. The 4-6s Ranch's influence extends far beyond agriculture. It has become a cultural icon that represents the American West to millions of people around the world. The ranch served as the inspiration and filming location for the hit television series Yellowstone and its spin-off 4-6s, bringing the reality of modern ranching to audiences who had never experienced authentic cowboy culture. The show's creator, Taylor Sheridan, spent months on the ranch researching the series, and many of the storylines reflect the real challenges and traditions of large-scale ranching operations. The authenticity of the shows comes from their connection to the 4-6's actual operations, with real cowboys serving as consultants and extras in the productions. The Hollywood connection has brought unprecedented attention to the ranch and the broader ranching industry, educating urban audiences about the realities of agricultural life and the importance of preserving Western heritage. The shows have also created new economic opportunities for the ranch, including filming fees, tourism revenue, and merchandise sales that help support the operation's conservation and cultural preservation efforts. But Turner has been careful to ensure that the ranch's celebrity status doesn't compromise its authentic working ranch atmosphere. The 4-6s continues to operate as a cattle and horse ranch first, with entertainment activities serving as a secondary revenue source that helps fund the preservation of cowboy culture and Western traditions. The success of the television series has raised awareness about the challenges facing the ranching industry and the importance of preserving operations like the Four Sixes that maintain authentic connections to America's agricultural heritage. The conservation legacy that protects forever. Turner's ownership of the Four Sixes Ranch represents more than a business investment. It's a commitment to preserving one of the last intact grassland ecosystems in North America. The ranch's 350,000 acres include some of the finest native prairie remaining in Texas, supporting plant and animal communities that have largely disappeared from the surrounding landscape. The ranch participates in numerous conservation programs, including the USDA's Conservation Reserve Program, the Environmental Quality Incentives Program, and various state wildlife habitat improvement initiatives. The property serves as a research site for Texas A&M University, the University of Texas, and other institutions studying grassland ecology, climate change impacts, and sustainable ranching practices. Turner has placed conservation easements on critical portions of the ranch, ensuring that important habitats will be protected regardless of future ownership changes. The ranch's grazing management systems are designed to mimic the natural patterns that shape these grasslands over thousands of years, maintaining the ecological processes that support native plant and animal communities. The success of these conservation efforts has made the Four Sixes a model for other ranching operations across the American West, proving that private landowners can be effective stewards of natural resources when they have the knowledge and commitment to manage land for multiple objectives. The ranch's conservation programs generate additional revenue through hunting leases, carbon credit sales, and government conservation payments, demonstrating that environmental stewardship can be economically beneficial as well as ecologically important. The future of an American legend. Turner's vision for the Four Sixes Ranch extends far beyond preserving the past. It's about proving that traditional ranching can thrive in the modern world when it's supported by adequate investment and visionary leadership. The ranch serves as a laboratory for sustainable ranching practices that could be adopted across the American West, demonstrating that large-scale livestock operations can be profitable while protecting natural resources and preserving cultural heritage. The ranch's success has inspired other wealthy landowners to invest in similar operations, creating a new model for conservation that relies on private initiative rather than government regulation. Turner's approach proves that the best way to preserve Western heritage isn't to turn ranches into museums, but to keep them operating as working enterprises that generate the revenue needed to maintain their traditions and landscapes. The Four Sixes Ranch has become a symbol of what's possible when conservation, culture, and commerce work together toward common goals, showing that the American West's greatest treasures can survive and thrive in the 21st century. The ranch's influence extends far beyond its boundaries, inspiring a new generation of ranchers, conservationists, and entrepreneurs who understand that preserving the past requires embracing the future. Turner's investment in the Four Sixes Ranch ensures that this piece of American heritage will continue to operate as it has for over 150 years, proving that some things are too valuable to lose and too important to change. Ted Turner's $347 million Four Sixes Ranch proves that America's greatest treasures are worth any price to preserve. From legendary bloodlines to authentic cowboy culture, this ranch represents everything that's timeless about the American West and everything that's possible when vision meets commitment. Subscribe for more incredible stories about the people and properties that build America. And check out the next video on your screen about another legendary ranch that will inspire you.